Okay, so this is a very similar setup to the other two units we've got. It's a much bigger unit. It looks very nice actually, nice panel on the front here, and it still has the same frame system that we've used before. Extras here that you normally get, I found out this little clip thing here is actually for holding your window in place, so it'll bracket onto your frame and stop the window from being opened. We don't need to worry about that so much because we've got security screens, but if you didn't have security screens, that will work for that application. I had a few people on the other units ask how long the cord is. So it's roughly about 1.5 meters in length, so it does give you a fair amount of leeway for getting it plugged into somewhere. And yeah, so if you've got it fairly close to a power point, I don't think you're going to have a problem. If not, just run a power cord to it. So I'm going to get this frame into where the old aircon unit was, and we'll get it fit in. So this is the window frame it's going to go into. You'll definitely need a window frame which has got lips like this up here and also at the top, basically because this frame will sit in to these grooves here at the bottom, at the top there, and there's also grooves down the bottom here, and then this concertina is in between that and the top, and then the unit fits inside this frame here and clips into that and into the bottom there. Inside here you also find that you've got some rubber foam and some brackets. Brackets can be put up against here, so that will stop from these pins that go in from scratching against that. Let's get this fitted in. And as you can see on the back here, there's the weather sealing, and that stops a lot of the rain from coming in. There's rubber all the way around it as well from inside, and in here you'll see that you've got the adjustments you can make. Once it slides up, you screw those in tight, and when it's fitted at the top, you screw these in tight up to the frame at the top of the window frame as well. Now, as you can see, this slides up and down, and those rubbers move up and down inside it as well. Just make sure there's nothing on the bottom that needs to be taken off. Yes, there is, and these screws will tighten into that as well. So you can see we have to undo those screws. We can't get it in at the moment. We've got to bring those out so we can fit it into the frame. And while we're at it, we'll do these top ones, make sure they're undone. It'll go with this bracket down here, that'll slide into this groove here. Okay, so now I've got the frame into place. You can see the rubbers up here. Those rubbers are sitting into the window frame, so they'll stop any water from coming out through the back here. And the frame is sitting into this channel, and got the channel up the top there. Then down here we can put this metal bracket into place, and that stops these screws from going into the window frame. Yeah. And we've got our ginger cat coming to say hello to see what's going on. He's probably going to jump up the top here as well. Okay, so all we need to do now is tighten this top bit into place, and then we can sit the unit in. Okay, so now we've got the frame into place. We've got the bracket down here, the screws are tightened up, and you can see that's not going to move on there. Then you need to make sure that the 4 screws, there's 2 this side and 2 this side, are all done up nice and tight, and they don't move around. That way this won't move up and down. And up the top there, I don't know, we can see because I can't get into that position. But the bracket's been put in there and the screws are in place as well. I had to take out that window blind just so I can get those screws in. But that's now nice and tight in there, and it's not going to move. So the next thing to do is to sit the aircon unit into here, and we'll get it turned on. Okay, so we've got the unit ready to install into the window frame over there. So what I've done here is I've just, before I put it in, I just want to make sure it's going to work. I'll put the plug in, and as you can see it's about the length of a double window here. So like I said, about 1.5 meters. And I just want to make sure everything's working before we spend the effort to try to get it in. We'll turn the on button, and there we go. Operational. Excellent. So one thing we want to make sure we do before we actually install it is this will be going into this section up here. So we'll take that screw out so we can put it in a little bit easier later. And what we'll find, get out first, just put that down there. And these clips, you can see this moves across. So these clips will go into the back of the unit here and here. And that's where that screw goes into there. So that all holds it in place. And down the bottom here, that'll be sitting into these grooves here. You'll see a drain plug here. Now we can run that out through the back here, or we can leave it inside. It's up to you how you want to run that one. Okay, so because I had a few people ask on the other units, this is the minimum distance as far as the width you can have for your unit in the frame, because that is the narrowest point from there to there. And I'll put up the sizes on the screen for you. And what will happen is your sliding window will fit up against it there. So if you've got a big window like this, that's good, because during the day you can leave the window open still, and when you want to run it, you just close it. And this is where this little contraption comes into place, because that goes into that pitch just in there, and it'll actually close up and lock. Okay, so I have decided to put the hose in, because I can actually run it just outside here in the window and it'll drip through. And we'll get this unit into that frame now. Grab that bit for me.
I'm not actually touching anything. Okay,
In.
and pull that hose down.
It's in. Okay, so you saw how easy that was to slip in. Once those lugs go into place there, it'll push up nicely and snugly into there, and then it locks into those clips, and that's where we put the screw up there. And that screw will make sure that that clip won't undo, and that unit is not going to come out of there at all. Those rubbers, this one's bent over a little bit, but you can actually, bend that back, and they go all the way up to the top there. So once that window gets pushed in there, those rubbers go up nice and snug against there, and there's no way that rain's going to come through. We've had the other two units in torrential rain with the rain coming directly on it, and never had any problems with water coming through the back here. A lot of these window frames will have drain holes on the bottom or on the other side, and if the water does get into these channels, it'll just flow out through. In fact, you might be able to see them. There's one there, and there's another one there. And on here you get a remote, and it has a magnetic spot there for your remote. And on the side here, this will open up, if I can get around to this side. So that's where your filter is, and you can get in there for your filter. And just say you have a crim safe system here and you can't actually put a hole through the back for the hose, you'll also find under here there is a second hose point here, so you can run a hose straight down here. You can leave that plug in here and also on the back one that we used, and basically once that unit fills with its evaporation, it'll come up with an error, and you'll just need to unpull that plug and let it drain out. We'll turn it on now and see it working. And push it again to turn it on. There we go. So very nice looking unit, nice and quiet. I like the black in this one. And you should find that this frame here, let's see it going, as you can see, quite quiet. Oh, nice and cool. So we have the Kogan 2.6 kilowatt reverse cycle vertical air conditioner. It's been going for probably 2 months now, and it's been going exceptionally well, no issues. It's got a very nice display here. We can go through the modes, so we can change it to dry, heat, fan, leave it on auto, or cool. Now my wife, she doesn't like the heat, and for her to say that this is a very good, nice, cool air conditioner means that it's been working exceptionally well. I actually find it quite cold when I'm standing in front of this one, to be honest. We do have a timer system on that, so you can have it so that it turns off automatically or turns on at a certain time. And if you do need to clean the filters, you do have access to the filter system on this side here. That panel comes out and you can change the filters and clean it, and spray in there to clean it as well. They're a perfect air conditioning unit if you're in a rental apartment as well, because you're not going to do any damage and you can take that with you when you leave. So Would I recommend these? Absolutely. We've got 3 of these units now, so this one being the bigger one and 2 smaller ones. They're easy to uninstall. You don't do any damage to anything, and yeah, you can take it with you to the next place.